Well, on the women's reservation bill, here are my quick 3 points. Now, I am absolutely convinced that this bill is being brought in the special session of Parliament as a political tactic. I say this with a certain amount of certainty, and I'll explain myself why I think it is so. This is an attempt by the Modi government to project themselves as pro-women before the 2024 elections. Why is that important? That is important because the women voters have become a substantial segment by itself. If you look at the figures, 1962, the percentage of women voters was 46.2%. 2019, it has gone up to 67.2%. Women voters have become a force to reckon with. They cannot be ignored anymore. So here is an attempt to target that vote bank. And it is very clear that this is being made a political capital out of. Is there real intent to empower women? I have my doubts, and my doubts stem from the fact that there are 2 clauses added to this bill, which of course delays the process of implementation. So this is not for immediate effect. This is for some date in the future, maybe 2029, depending on whether you have a new census and whether you complete the process of delimitation. So that, of course, forces me to say that there are many asleep between the cup and the lip. There's nothing that changes immediately. Let's keep that in mind. Now, here is a Prime Minister who made no bones about it by saying that I have been chosen to be the man to pass this bill. Of course, passing this bill is a no-brainer for this government, which has a broad majority in both houses of Parliament. This is a bill that has been hanging fire since 1996. It came very close to being passed in 2010. Rajya Sabha had passed it. The Lok Sabha failed to pass it. Why? Because there is substantial amount of opposition to this bill. Understandably, because it is, if you give a 33% reservation or 1/3 of the seats to women, it is going to eat into the share of the male representatives. And how will that be acceptable to a largely male-dominated political, class? Now, here is the interesting part, why the clause of delimitation is added. Because the moment you complete the process of delimitation, the chances are very high that your number of seats will increase. So where you have 543 now, that number could go up to an extent that your actual MPs, male MPs, if say for instance there are 300 male MPs and 243 female MPs, the actual numbers may, for all you know, even remain the same if after delimitation the total number of seats increase. So that way they have managed to placate political parties and those male representatives who are antsy about this whole process, about giving women that kind of a large share. But think about it, is it really asking for too much? Women today are asking for 1/3 of representation, and the current representation is only 14%. And for us to think that this will go more than double, it has been a long and arduous process, and even now it is being put off for a later date. That is how difficult it is for women to get their due. Ideally, it should have been 50%, but even for 1/3, this is how tedious the process has been. And the census, again, as I mentioned earlier, also delays the process. So is there an intent to empower women or to bring more representation? Well, that is shrouded in mystery for me right now, because to me it really looks like political posturing, targeting the women vote bank before 2024, come out as the messiah for women who, after all, has managed to pass this bill, but then pass this bill and with enough number of clauses to make sure that nothing changes immediately. That's what it is for now. I leave it to all of you to decide whether this timing of bringing in the bill at this time in a special session is political posturing, or whether there is true intent in any of this. Thanks.